IEEE software quality definition, the degree to which a system, a component, or process meets specified requirements, the degree to which a system, component, or process meet customer or user needs or expectations. What is quality assurance? A planned and systematic pattern of all actions necessary to provide adequate confidence that an item or product conforms to established technical requirements. A set of activities designed to evaluate the process by which products are developed or manufactured. Contrast with quality control. So we have quality assurance and we have quality control. Quality assurance, we want to have quality, we want to make sure quality that the product we are developing, it's of high quality. And quality control is a set of activities carried out with the objective of withholding product from shipment if the quality doesn't possess. Like software quality assurance department job is to control the quality, that any weak product, poor quality product should not be released to the customer. And quality assurance is throughout the software development process, the activities we perform to prevent the causes of errors or detect them and correct them. So we perform corrective maintenance to make sure that the minimum bugs are there. We perform testing, we perform maintenance to assure quality. So quality assurance reduces the rate of non-qualifying product. So there is a difference between quality control and quality assurance. The objective of software quality assurance activities in software development: assure an acceptable level of confidence that software will conform to functional technical requirements. To assure an acceptable level of confidence that the software will conform to the managerial, scheduling, and budgetary requirements with respect in terms of cost, in terms of time requirements. Initiating and managing set of activities for the improvement and the efficiency of software development and software quality assurance activities. So these are all objectives of software quality assurance. In terms of maintenance, assuring with an acceptable level of confidence that software maintenance activities will conform to the functional technical requirements. Assure with an acceptable level of confidence that software maintenance activities will conform to managerial, scheduling, and budgetary requirements. Initiating and managing activities to improve and increase the efficiency of software maintenance. We have three perspectives. We have customer perspective, customer view, project manager view, and the maintenance team, the development team view. The customer view, customer aspect, that software must function, must complete requirements in terms of functional and non-functional. The project manager has concern with the time and cost of the project should be completed within budget, within schedule. Team, the software quality assurance team is concerned with respect to detect and the correction time in terms of development team, the detection and correction from them, and the quality assurance team will make sure that there are minimum bugs in the software. So there are three angles, three views are there. Software is of high quality because we consider infrastructure and tools, staff, the contract with the customer, the SDLC, the budget, schedule, maintenance. If you consider them, then you can achieve quality. Prevention versus detection. Detection means identify and correct. Prevention means your team must be well trained and do it right from the first time. Do not repeat it again and again. We don't have time to redo the cycle, repeat the cycle. So do it right correct for the first time. That is the prevention. So they are well trained, highly skilled, highly trained to do their job. So professional and skilled people are there. There are several examples of disaster like the Patriot missile example. There was another example of International Airport, Denver, Colorado citizens. They suffer because of the software problem, and AT&T also has suffered software quality factors. So we have product operation factors, software quality requirements, product revision factors, product transition factors, alternative models, who is interested, software compliance with quality factors, a need to a quality requirement document. Software quality is based on quality of its requirement document. Many applications fail because the requirement document quality is poor. The need for improving poor requirement document is widespread among the team. We need what is called software quality factors. We divide them in terms of operational factors. So practice, reliability, efficiency, integrity, usability, they all are under product operation factors. We have product revision factor. Maintenance, flexibility, testability are under product revision factor. Product transition factors, portability, usability, interoperability, they are divided into three: operation, revision, and transition. In the product operation, we have objective. Does it do what the customer wants? Does it do it accurately all of time? Does it quickly solve the intended problem? Is it secure? Can I run it? In terms of revision, can it be fixed? Can it be tested? Can it be changed? In transition, can it be used in another machine? Can parts to be reused? Can it interface with another system? So this is the tree for the Michal's factor: product transition, product operation, product revision. We have requirement document. So these are examples. What are the wrong requirements and what are the correct requirements? For example, in terms of correctness, employees' salaries should not be late. This requirement is not clear. It should be like employees' salary should be calculated accurately and must be ready 5 days before the end of month. So in the first one, there is ambiguity. Clarity was not there. It is ambiguous, unclear. Reliability example: system should be working as much time as possible. System should not be in failure status during working hours like 9 to 4, and total time of failure status should not exceed 20 minutes per month. So that's the correct requirement. Very clear. In terms of efficiency, the GPS application should use as little as possible of mobile phone battery. The GPS application should not use more than 10% of battery power in 2 hours time. That's the correct requirement. Integrity. Students should be allowed to access their final marks. Students should be allowed to view their final marks. They should not be able to make any changes. So that's the correct requirement. Usability. The billing system should be easy to use. Billing system should be able to learn the most important 5 functions of billing system in 3 working hours. So that's the correct requirement in terms of usability. Software quality assurance in terms of development and quality plans. So we have development plan and quality plan agenda, elements of the development plan, elements of the quality plan, development and quality plan for small and internal projects, so software development risk and software risk management. Development and quality plan. Planning means to prepare adequate foundation for successful and timely completion of a project. So plan is very important. Scheduling development activities, estimate the required manpower, team members and allocating development resources, resolve development risk, implementing required software quality assurance activities, providing management with data needed for project control. Development plan, the elements, the deliverable interface, standards, map of the development process, milestone, staff organization coordination, facility, risk control, and the cost estimation methods. What is project specs? Any other name of project specs? Project proposal or baseline document? Project baseline document, project proposal, or project specs? We have SDLC phases. Mr. Jasim, yes, Bismillah.
Can we say the purpose of the project? It is the same of a project
No.
specification?
In industry, software industry, use term project specs, project specification.
Okay.
Academically, we call it project proposal. Like your degree projects, we ask the student to submit a proposal. Or for master, the regular master, not the executive, we have thesis. And we call them to submit a proposal for the master for their thesis. Even for PhD, we ask the student to submit a proposal. Similarly, it's a proposal. Like when customer needs a project, so what he will do? He will do advertisement in the newspaper or in the whatever the electronic media he use, that he is in need of this project. And then there is like auction. They will send a document. Its name is SSR, System Service Request. SSR is an official invitation to software companies to submit proposal or project specs. So at the planning level, the software companies, after receiving the SSR or in the newspaper the advertisement, they have to submit the proposal or project specs to the customer. This is the routine procedure, official procedure, formal procedure. At the planning level, project specs, once they receive, then they will decide which company will sign the contract act between the customer and the software company. Like for example, SAP will submit, Oracle will submit, Microsoft will submit, or any government company or private company like STC. They have IT department. Or in Pakistan, like NetSol company is the #1 company in Pakistan. So NetSol, for example, they submit, or System Limited or Technologics are very popular companies, bidding. So they will submit. Then customer will decide which company will develop the project after the approval. And the companies like who are submitting project specs or proposal, they have to submit a token money as a guarantee. And the company which signed the contract, their token money is kept, and the rest of the companies, their token money returned. So that's the official procedure. What are the contents of project specs? As a software company, what you need to submit in project specs or proposal or baseline document? There are 3 main contents of project specs: project introduction document, feasibility assessments, and management issues. Project introduction document, what it should have? What are the contents of project introduction document? History of the project is the first content. What is the meaning of history of project? History means in Arabic tarikh.
It's like a background of the project and the reason of why you
Very
are.
good. Wonderful. Correct. Absolutely right. In the history, how the existing system is working, how the current system is working, what are the main inputs and outputs of the existing system, the current system, who are the users, or how many categories of users we have, what are their roles, that should be covered in the history, or we call it background of new system. Then what are the problems of the current system or the new system? what are the constraints, what are the problems of the current system, what customer is facing. For example, more maintenance cost, slow, poor in quality, more low in productivity, more overtime cost. So these could be the problem: time consuming, cost consuming, resource consuming, low in productivity, customer dissatisfaction, customers are not happy, customers are not satisfied. That could be any problem: time, cost, productivity, dissatisfaction of customers, low profits. Then scope of the new system, yeah, difficulty of usage. End users are not happy. End users are not happy. After this, describing these problems, then you define the scope of the new system, and you have a statement of scope. Statement of scope, that how the new system is going to solve the problems of current system in 1 to 2 paragraphs. How it will address the problems of the current system. Under the scope, you define 3 things for the new system: context of the new system, main inputs, outputs of the new system, and main functions of the new system. Statement of work is like you can define under the scope. You can say, what is the context? What is the meaning of context of new system? In my 10th standard, we have subject Urdu, like Arabic. In the exam, there is a question. We have textbook. In the textbook, we have stories, lessons. The examiner, the person who prepared the exam, he gave 1 paragraph from any story from the textbook or lesson is provided, and as a student we need to write the context of this paragraph, context of that paragraph, that how this paragraph is describing you, what was before this paragraph and what is after this paragraph. You have to write the context of the new system. So what are the systems running at the customer side, and how to integrate the new system with the existing systems, and what are the constraints regarding the integration. So what are the common integration constraints? Hardware constraints. We have software constraints like operating system constraints, server constraint, the web server. We have protocol constraints because different vendors are there. Like we have ATM network, Madda in Saudi Arabia. Different banks are there because you have to import and export the data. I know one company in Pakistan, software company, they failed to integrate a system with the existing ATM network. Like in Saudi Arabia, Madda, we have one link system, or it's called M-Link system, because the bank who introduced one link system, different vendors are there, or Madda, different banks are there, or like now you have Apple Pay, it is working under Madda. Different vendors, different software are used, like Java or .NET or PHP or Perl or Python. Different softwares are there, different languages are there. So you have to intercommunicate among them. Intercommunication among different languages, language constraint is also there. Programming languages constraints. Hardwares are different. Operating systems are different. Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac, Sun, Solaris, Fedora. And then protocols are there. Protocol constraints are there. So these all are dependencies you have to consider, because like SAP, you want to integrate, and you have existing systems in COBOL, in Pascal, in C, in Fortran, in Java, in .NET, and SAP use a language, its name is ABAP, Advanced Business Application Processing. ABAP language is used to develop SAP. So SAP language is different, and you have to integrate SAP with Java, with COBOL, with C, with .NET, with PHP, with XML or HTML. So you have to import and export the data. Languages are different, operating systems are different, protocols are different, hardwares are different. So one company failed to integrate the system with the existing OneLink system, because as a standalone it works fine, but once you integrate with existing ATM network, it does not import and export the data. And customer gave them 6 months extra. Normally customer don't give them extra time, maximum 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 6 months. There are too many dependencies are there to integrate. It's not easy to integrate with existing systems, and they failed to integrate because it does not import and export the data. As standalone it works, but after integration, no import, no export. Like you can go to any ATM network to withdraw your money or transfer bill, pay bill, transfer cash, deposit, like Bank of Riyadh, Al Raji, Al Ahli, or Samba, but Samba now is merged in Bank Al Ahli. So you have integration, and data is importing and exporting. So any of the bank's customer can use any of the ATM network. So if there is not integration, you cannot import and export the data. These are the technical difficulties. Because of that, you have to consider all the integration constraints, and it should be mentioned in the context of the new system. Then main inputs and outputs of the new system, then main functions of the new system, like for example Hotmail, inbox, junk, compose, send messages, the main modules, or like ATM, withdraw, transfer cash, check balance, pay bill. Then functional decomposition, the fourth content of project introduction document. You have to divide the main functions into sub functions. We also call it stepwise. And what is the technique we use to do functional decomposition? We use hierarchical charts to show the functional decomposition, that these are the main functions and these are the sub functions. Graphically we display, because it's not possible to write them on the paper. Like you have main menu for like PowerPoint, menu, insert menu, design menu, animation, slideshow, review, view. Microsoft Word, Visual Studio.NET, NetBeans, you have the menu bar. So it's not possible for each menu we display the sub functions. So we use graphical technique, hierarchical charts, like organizational charts. We have so many modules in SAP or Oracle or Microsoft Dynamics, HR module, CRM, customer relationship management system, because each module is a complete system. Supply chain management system, inventory system, payroll system, attendance system, logistics support system. So there are so many systems. It's not possible you display sub functions under each to write on the paper. So we use hierarchical charts, the graphical technique, to display them. These are the contents of project introduction document. Then we have feasibilities, the next content of project specs. What are the main type of feasibilities we consider? We consider four types of main feasibilities, four main types of feasibilities: economic, technical, operational, schedule. What we cover under the economic feasibility: cost benefit analysis, what are the main benefits and how much project cost is there. So estimating project benefits and estimating project cost. After this, we have cost benefit analysis sheet. How many type of benefits we have? We have tangible benefits and we have intangible benefits. What is the difference between them? Abdullah Khalid. Difference between tangible and intangible. Tangible can be directly estimated in monetary values, in money, falloose values. And intangible, we cannot directly estimate in monetary values, in money values. Masalan, any tangible benefits, increased sale, revenue, very good. Cost reduction, time reduction, time. Time will be in terms of cost, time saving, cost saving. Error reduction. Masalan, in America, Cisco is the largest networking company in the world. In America, they decided to use a technology, it's called telecommuting technology. Sultan Saifuddin, what is telecommuting technology?
Telecommunication.
No, telecommuting. Telecommuting technology to work away from offices. Work
remotely.
away. Yes, work away from remotely from the offices. Anywhere, like during Corona period. So they use a technology telecommuting, and the workers who are working remotely from home or from internet cafe or from call centers, they are called telecommuters, and the text which is transferred among them is called teletext. And the technology we are using, telecommunication technology. Cisco removed all offices throughout USA. Only accounts department remained in all states. Rest offices, they finished. No more. So office rent, electricity billing, other expenses, furniture, computers, printers, resources, petrol allowance, telephone billing, all cut down. And workers are also very comfortable because they don't need to travel 1 hour, 2 hours in the traffic to reach the office and come back. Only accounts department, and they have warehouse. So for example, customer wants to purchase router, server, switch, hub. He will use online application to place the order. As he will place the order, message will go to the salesman. Yes, Mr. Bandar Sahab. Yeah, our lecture. Correct. As he will place the order, salesperson will receive message. He will visit to the customer and ask him that what are your requirements? Is this your order is correct, or you want to change the order, better technology, better server, better hub, better router, better switch? If customer agreed, salesman will confirm the order and ask the customer to pay. So customer will pay. As customer will do the processing, the payment, will do the payment, salesman job is done. He will leave. Message will go to the technical staff. Technical staff will go to the warehouse and will load the router, switch, hub, server, whatever the technology, and reach to the customer site. As customer will pay, he will receive a number, service number, like STC in Saudi Arabia. Once you complain to STC, you receive a number, and when technical guy will come to your home office to fix that problem, after that he will ask you to tell that number so he can close the order, close the complaint. Same, the the customer will receive message in America after the payment, and technical staff will deploy the server, router, switch, hub, and ask the customer to use it. And after customer say, okay, I'm happy, I'm satisfied, he will ask the customer, please tell me the service number. So he will close the order and the process is closed. This is from start to end, all online. So they removed all offices throughout USA and saved huge money. And then HP also does the same after the successful implementation of telecommuting technology by Cisco. So Corona period, also many companies switched to telecommuting. Microsoft, Google, well-known companies, Facebook. So that's the cost reduction, time reduction. Examples I covered. Then error reduction. After having the automation, the new system, customers' errors are reduced. Like for example, customer is using manual system. I have my personal experience that manually humans do mistake while entering the data. Like I purchased a motorbike on leasing Takseed from very well-known company. Its name is Oryx Leasing. Oryx Leasing. It's also operating in Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, many countries. Takseed. So they asked me to pay advance check of 1 year. It was 1 year contract. So they asked me to pay advance 12 checks. So monthly I pay that amount in my bank and they withdraw the check. So after 12 months, I went to the Oryx Leasing company. Yes, installments for 12 months. I went to the leasing company after 1 year that my payment is completed, installments are completed. Please transfer the vehicle to my name because it was on their name. The marketing guy, salesman there, informed me that your last 2 checks are bounced. So now you have to pay extra money as a fine, Gurama. I said no, I paid every month and you withdraw that money, I know, from my bank. So after some discussion, he asked me to go to the bank and bring the bank statement. And that office was very far from my university where I was working. Anyhow, I went to my bank. I brought the bank statement. Then I showed him the bank statement. Then he said, oh, sorry, your last 2 checks are entered in some other customer's account. Manual data entry mistake. And then that matter was fixed and vehicle was transferred to my name. So my time was wasted, Oryx Leasing employee was wasted, bank time was wasted. Cost, effort, resources, all are wasted. I purchased vehicle from the Samba. It was online, automatically deducted from my salary. So it was 3-year installments, 3-year contract. After 3-year, loan was completed, no problem, no hassle. So humans do mistakes like manual production. Lot of errors, lot of defects are there. Automation, less errors are there. So you saved the money. Like manual production, you have more errors. In automation, you have more productivity and less errors. So that's the benefit of automation or information systems like SAP, ERP, automation of the processes. No mistake because of human involvement. New markets open because of the information systems. Like for example, Amazon is a very popular example. Amazon was a bookshop on a small street. Nobody knows in the next street that there is a bookshop. It was in the car garage, in home. Then we have an idea of Amazon website, and they started from the books, then cosmetics, then electronics, then now A to Z. It's a supermarket. Any item you can purchase from Amazon. Now we have eBay, Alibaba, not Saudi Alibaba. Alibaba is there. It's the Chinese AliExpress. New markets open from Amazon, from books to cosmetics, cosmetics to electronics, electronics to vegetables, chicken, mutton, anything you can purchase from Amazon. So new markets open for you. And 24-hour business, better sale opportunities. There is no holiday, there is no weekend, there is no 8 to 5 or 8 to 12 or 9 to 12. You have to open your shop or superstore. 24-hour business, like when we have day in Pakistan, India, there is a night in America. When America has day, we have night. So they have 24-hour business all over the world. So better sale opportunities are there. And you have to calculate in monetary values. Better management planning and control because of the new systems. Like for top management, middle management, lower management. And employees knows that I am monitored, I am controlled by the top management. And they can assign you tasks, they can supervise activities, they can take decisions. And top management, they don't need to travel. Like we just discussed about Conoco, the American oil refinery company, the largest. They are working all over the world, but top management doesn't need to travel to Middle East to check the progress of the projects. By sitting in America, they are checking everything. Like Pepsi company, Coca-Cola, Unilever, they have head offices in America. By 10 a.m., sale reports, they have continental manager. Every country has country manager. Sales reports should be available on his table, the continental manager in USA, from all over the world, for Unilever, for Pepsi, for Coca-Cola, almost 9 a.m., 10 a.m., from all over the world. So he can take decisions, he doesn't need to travel. So he can see which product has more sale, which product has less sale, in which country has high sale, which country has less sale, which product is in more demand, which product has less demand. This all by using the information system, and you save the time, cost, effort, resources, everything because of such systems. So this is all you calculate in monetary values. Now you have intangible benefits. Intangible benefits cannot be calculated in monetary values. Efficiency, performance, quality, morale, company goodwill, they have impact on tangible benefits. Quality will increase sale. Efficiency and performance will improve productivity of the company. Because of the information system, companies, employees have high morale. They have better designation. Like for low data entry operator, we call them clerk in the previous systems. Clerk, clerical staff, low level staff. But now you have IT assistant designation, data entry operator, better designations, and office environment neat and clean, no files, no stack of files on your table. So that's employees' morale will improve because of the information systems, clean environment. Company goodwill. If customers are satisfied, customers are happy because of your services, company goodwill will improve. Like Delta, we discussed previously of General Electric company. Their customers have to wait for 1 month, 2 months. A senior engineer will come and will fix our engine. Now they don't need, after the implementation of Delta at all service centers, within 1 to 2 days, engine is repaired, maintained, and customers are satisfied, customers are happy. And once company goodwill will improve, automatically sale will increase. Like Nestle, Almarai, Unilever, Pepsi, their customers are satisfied, happy. Any new product from Nestle, Almarai will capture the market. Apple Another example, any new product of Apple will get success. Samsung, the trademark is quality. Any new product from Samsung will capture the market because customers are satisfied. It's a reputation of the company. So these are the intangible benefits. Then we have project cost. We have cost estimation techniques, line of code, function point, backfiring, constructive cost model 1, constructive cost model 2, new line of code method, agile budgeting. So these all are the cost estimation techniques to calculate the cost of project, time of the project, team size, how much team size you need, how many members, effort, number of lines, number of functions, or in agile budgeting, number of stories. We have story point technique. I can't go in detail of this because it's a separate course. So I just touch them that these techniques we use to calculate cost, time, team size, effort. This is what we need to start the project. We have technical feasibility. What is technical feasibility? What we estimate in technical feasibility? Hardware cost and software cost need to develop the system. You need hardware, you need software. Then what is the hardware cost? What is the software cost? For example, automation, factory automation, you need equipments or barcode reader or biometric devices, RFID devices. Such systems, you need hardware. So what will be the hardware cost and what will be the software cost? Because you need to test it. Like licensing cost, Microsoft licensing cost, or Oracle licensing cost, or Microsoft SQL Server, or Primavera. So you have to calculate the licensing cost or the hardware cost. Sometimes customer asks you to develop at customer side. So you need computers, because you will not carry your computers from your office to the customer side. You will ask the customer that these are the hardware, these are the software we need to develop such system. That is the technical feasibility cost. Or like customer asks you to get training, like the case of realestate.com, they asked the team to get training from Mike Mohan, the Mountain Goat website, the company Mountain Goat, professional trainer. The training cost, the customer, because customer is forcing you to take training, then you will involve the training cost as well. This is development cost, hardware and software. Operational feasibility. Operational feasibility, what is operational feasibility? Operational feasibility is the operational cost. What are the hardware customer need? Networking cost, if customer doesn't have. Server cost, operational cost in terms of maintenance cost, the maintenance contract, how much you will charge to maintain that. So that's all under the operational feasibility. So networking cost, cabling, routers, switches, hubs, server, the technical staff, the maintenance cost, backup cost, security cost, that is all under the operational feasibility.
Isn't it the operation feasibility can be considered when we say we want to have zero violation for this year? So it's if we have a violation, operation will be interrupted for some reason. So there is no visibility if we did not clear the strategy of the thing that we just mentioned. So do you think only with cost the operation feasibility would be?
That is another operational feasibility. We are talking about for the new system, we have to submit project specs or proposal to the customer. So we have to tell him that once this system will be deployed at your site in operation, what costs you have to spend. It should be included in the feasibility. So he must be well prepared, well informed. When we have cost benefit analysis sheet, that cost should be considered there, because after this we have to prepare cost benefit analysis sheet, that how much is the total cost of the system and what are the tangible benefits of the system, and how much these benefits will cover the project cost, the break-even point, and when his profit will start, the return on investment. You understand my point, Muhammad Jasim?
Yeah, I understand your point, but what I'm coming from is, let's assume we have a system, we calculated the cost to have operation feasibility, but for some reason we have that application down for non-cost reasons. Does this will include the operation feasibility also?
Because customer has maintenance contract with you. So we are already considering the maintenance contract under that, because the team has to fix that problem. Whatever the reason, it's down. It's not in operation. It is under there. We already signed the contract. Once the system will be implemented, we have contract with the customer, maintenance contract. So it will be considered.